So the other day, I think it might have been some vinyl community thing where it was like, hey, you could buy a stereo setup and get into vinyl if you just give up a cup of coffee a day. Because if you add that up at the end of the year, you could have like a nice stereo system. As if giving up a cup of coffee is an easy thing to do. We do this all the time. Well, just for the price of coffee a day. Who's giving up coffee? Because I'm not. I'm not about to give up coffee, and coffee is, I guess, kind of expensive, especially if you buy it out and you buy the fancy drinks with all the added sugar and cream and whatever they're selling this time of year. Yeah, it can definitely add up. But who's giving up coffee? I'm not giving up coffee. And then we started talking. So my girlfriend and I were talking about this, and then we started talking about prison and kind of unrelated at first. We were watching Your Friends and Enemies on HBO. John Hamm's in it. I don't really recommend it. It's okay. It's not bad, but it's kind of definitely not essential television. But there was an episode recently. Spoiler alert, maybe scroll ahead 10 seconds if you're watching the show, where he's in prison and he's not even on a bed. And he wakes up the next morning and my girlfriend and I start talking about how awful it'd be to be in prison. And I'm thinking of the hard bed, and she says, can you imagine the coffee in prison? I'm like, ooh, that would just be horrible, because I'm sure it's not a priority. I'm like, well, yeah, you'd probably get it right away though, wouldn't you? Because they wake you up early, and yeah, I think you go straight to breakfast. And then we were thinking about it, like, I doubt the coffee'd be very hot, you know? It could be a weapon. If it's like McDonald's level hot, no way, you know? Throw it in someone's face, you could really hurt somebody. So it's probably like not very hot, and you know, like most prisons are probably, you know, trying to scrape by on their funds and stretching out food. You know, they've got a captive audience, quite literally, and I guess the standards aren't quite the same, and prisoners really aren't going to complain, I guess, too much about the coffee, or it's not going to maybe get anywhere. I don't know. I'd like to think there's jails out there, prisons. I'm sure some of our favorite white collar prisoners, especially the political types, are drinking real fancy cups of coffee behind bars. But I would think in general, people, they're stretching it out, and it's probably just like brown water, and it's not very good. Not as good as my cup of coffee, which I'm drinking right now, and this is a coffee that we get here in Washington. This state, of course, is obsessed with coffee. I must say I'm not fond of a lot of the coffee shops around here for one reason, and that is light roast. Light roast. I don't get it. I don't get a bitter cup of coffee that has no real depth to it or no solid foundation. I like it black. In fact, this is the darkest of roasts. Probably my favorite coffee shop around here is Vashon Island. And I had a birthday recently, and I got like a few of these. So, Front Porch Fresh, darkest roast. Vashon Islands is great. It's a great place for vacations, great place for hikes, great place for a drive. Not a lot happening there, but really good coffee place. If you're ever there, stop by. It's dark, which I like. So I'm drinking a cup of that right now, and I'm drinking it out of this mug I got years ago. Thompsonite Beach on Lake Superior. Good place, cold place in the winter, but very beautiful place along the north shore of Lake Superior. And coffee tastes really good out there, especially if you're camping. And I did a fair amount of that when I lived in Minneapolis, and coffee is essential on a camping trip. So this is Memorial Day weekend. Maybe this can be a reminder if you are going anywhere and you haven't left yet. Like, don't forget about coffee. And this is a French press. I've been back to that lately because I like it really dark, and some people, including my partner, like it not. I like it dark too, but not quite as thick as what I like. So I'm kind of brewing individual coffee and kind of back to a French press for myself here. But made myself a cup of coffee. Usually I don't drink coffee in the afternoon, but hey, it's a long weekend. I'm not too worried about sleep. I'll probably stay up late, and honestly, I need all the help I can get these days to stay up late. But let's get into what this video is all about. This is a 5 songs about coffee. They're not really ranked. They're just ranked in interesting order, although my number one is my number one, and I guess that's not changing. But thinking about coffee songs, coffee related songs, These are pretty much directly about coffee, but I thought of 9 to 5, Dolly Parton stumbling out of bed, fumbling out of bed and stumbling towards the kitchen or something like that. Pours herself a cup of ambition. That went through my head. So did REM's Nescafe on Ice line in The Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight. But there are 5 songs that are more directly, like I said, about coffee, and this one is Starfish and Coffee. It is off of Prince's 1987 album, Sign of the Times. Some people think it's considered their best or his best record. It's definitely up there for me. I don't think it's my favorite. Maybe I'll do a Prince countdown at some point. I listened to 1999 earlier and I just loved it. Sounded so good today. But yeah, Starfish and Coffee. Kind of a crazy, like, is this person really eating starfish and coffee and maple syrup and jam and butterscotch clouds and a tangerine and a side order of ham? It sounds like a Dr. Seuss thing. But, in the lyrics, he talks about this kid, like grade school, who has this lunch, apparently, she packs, and that's what's in it. And, she's creative. She's drawing on the walls, sounds like she's got an active imagination. And then the kids open up the lunchbox and they actually see this stuff. But interesting song, great song off of Sign of the Times, Prince. Next, we have a song from Squeeze, 1982 song from their album Sweets from a Stranger. It's a song, Black Coffee in Bed. This is more adult, I would say, than the Starfish and Coffee kind of fantasy that we had going on with Prince. This is about a relationship that has ended, and there's a stain on his notebook, and coffee stain, and it reminds him of his girlfriend who is gone. And it seems like he's trying to convince himself that it's a good thing, she's gone, and he's with someone new, my understanding, and he's in bed with her, and I think he's having coffee, and there's passion, and there's fireworks, and there's kisses, and he's like so glad he's with someone new and not this love that he lost. But there's sort of this, I think, this sort of undercurrent of like, it's not that easy, buddy. This one might sting a little bit more than you thought, and this might just be like a one night stand or something. But it's a great, great pop song. I love it. Black Coffee in Bed. One of those songs that, I hear on the radio. I don't think I have any Squeeze right now. But I love hearing it. And there's some songs that I almost don't want to buy or have the record because I just enjoy kind of randomly hearing it. I like being surprised by it. And this is one of those songs. Another song that was that way for me for years was Lola by the Kinks. I never wanted to have it. I love being surprised by it on the radio. But yeah, Black Coffee in Bed, Squeeze. Third one I want to talk about, and I've got my weirdo shirt on. This was an art project that was done in Seattle about kind of the forgotten grunge and music scene related to grunge, I guess, and photography of it back in like the early 90s that I went to. Okay, so you've probably seen it on Mazzy. He wears a lot. This is sort of an obvious one. This is Bob Dylan, One More Cup of Coffee. Not my favorite Bob Dylan record. It doesn't do a whole lot for me the way that a lot of other ones do, but I do love a few songs on here, and one of them is One More Cup of Coffee. This mysterious woman kind of doesn't, her heart doesn't belong to Dylan, it belongs to the stars above. She doesn't know how to read or write, apparently. She's like this mystical person. Her heart is like an ocean, mysterious and dark. And something dark's about to happen because there's one more coffee for the road. He's going to have one more cup of coffee before he goes to the valley below. And it kind of has this ominous feeling. The White Stripes used to do a really good cover of this. They were great at cover songs. Really great at Dylan cover songs. They did this one, and I remember seeing them live. I don't know if it got released or not. They did a cover of Lovesick that was just incredible. Like, amazing. I miss that band. I'm not that into Jack White. I don't know. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. But I loved. I don't really play them anymore, but maybe I will after I do this video. I absolutely loved the White Stripes for a while there, especially that White Blood Cells era. So, Bob Dylan, One More Cup of Coffee. Number 3 is a song. I don't have this one. We've got some Lightning Hopkins, but we don't have this one. It's Coffee Blues by Lightning Hopkins. Um, Great song. It's like the guy forgot to bring home, or Papa forgot to bring home coffee, but Mama's not. She's not too upset about it. Um, but then later on, he stays out late and she's really upset about it. So maybe the not bringing home the coffee in the first place is sort of an early indicator that there's trouble. And later on, maybe he's with a woman or something late at night. It doesn't come home until way late. So that's where the trouble really begins. But maybe there was a little precursor to it with not bringing that coffee home. And that's a big deal if you run out of coffee. I mean, my partner and I have like little panic attacks if we think we're running out of coffee. And neither one of us really likes to go to the grocery store, especially in the morning. Oh no, gotta get up and go to the grocery store or go get coffee before like the day even begins, before we have coffee to get coffee. So, always very mindful of that. But both of us always are, knock on wood, pretty damn good about bringing home the coffee. Okay, all right. So we're at number 1, and this is really the main reason I did this video. But let me pause and have a little cup of coffee before we get to it. Well, this coffee is not Maxwell House, as I showed earlier. It is this coffee. But there is the ultimate ode to Maxwell House coffee done by Mississippi John Hurt. I don't know when it was initially written, but this album came out, I think, in '62. I will double check on that. And the song is Coffee Blues. And he talks about this Maxwell House coffee that this woman makes him that is so amazing that he has to have it. He calls it, it's really unclear. Well, maybe it is kind of clear. It seems like he's calling the coffee his loving spoonful of that Maxwell House coffee, and he just cannot get enough. It's good to the last drop, like it says in the can. I used to have a girl cooking a good Maxwell House. She moved away. Some said to Memphis. Some said to Leyland. But I found her. I want her to cook me. I understand if I get just a spoonful of Maxwell's House, it'll do me much good as 2 or 3 cups of this regular coffee. So he goes to Memphis. He brings her back to Leyland. I want to see my baby about a lovin' spoon, my lovin' spoonful. I gotta have my lovin'. I found her. Good morning, baby. How you doing this morning? Well, please, ma'am, just a lovin' spoon. Just a lovin' spoonful, I declare. I gotta have my lovin' spoonful. And my baby packed her suitcase and she went away. I couldn't let her stay for my lovin' spoonful. Well, I just gotta have my lovin'. I don't know if he's just obsessed with coffee and he drives her absolutely crazy. Like he just wants that Maxwell House more than anything else. And he doesn't really like his lovin' is about that lovin' spoonful of Maxwell House that makes him this amazing cup of coffee that's as good as 2 or 3 cups of the regular stuff. But clearly he is obsessed with coffee. And why Maxwell House has not used this song, at least to my knowledge, in a commercial is just beyond me. I mean, who else is writing an ode to a product like this? And yeah, it's old. Okay, cool, but whatever. It's still a damn fine song, and I'm sure you could turn Mississippi John Hurt, who I absolutely love, and I love this album. This is my favorite one I've heard. You could turn him on or turn people on to a lot of Mississippi John Hurt or Mississippi John Hurt songs through some kind of ad for Maxwell House, but whatever. I'm glad it's not an ad, right? I say this, but then it's like, well, if that had been my way that I heard this song, I probably wouldn't appreciate the record nearly as much as I do. But his lovin' spoonful, I hope he's getting, wherever he is these days, I hope he's getting just spoonfuls and spoonfuls, lovin' spoonfuls, extra large lovin' spoonfuls of that Maxwell House coffee, because he deserves it. He is amazing. Mississippi John Hurt, if you're not familiar with him, pick up this record. It's a really good one. It's to me, it's like, I mean, I've heard some other ones, but I'm like, I don't know, does it get any better? Let me know. But yeah, love Mississippi John Hurt, love my coffee, and thought I would do a video about coffee. There's some other coffee songs that I considered for this. There's a Frank Sinatra one, there's an Otis Redding one, But I want to hear your favorites. If there's some favorite coffee songs or out there that I should listen to, if we put together a coffee playlist. And what's your favorite kind of coffee? If you live in the Seattle area and you like dark roast, oh my God, please tell me. Tell me of good coffee shops that you like. And just in general, like, what are you drinking for coffee? So have a great weekend. Coffee's good, like I said, for any kind of Memorial Day activity. I mean, if you're sticking around at home, lazy mornings, drinking coffee, listening to records by the likes of Mississippi John Hurt, it's not a bad way to spend a weekend. And if you're camping, my God, pack the coffee. There's nothing better than having coffee on a cool morning or even a late night if it doesn't interrupt your sleep too much, by a fire or on one of those Coleman stoves or one of those, I don't know, whatever. Don't drink the Starbucks cold shit though. Like, that's not the same. You got to have hot coffee for camping. All right, everybody, have a good weekend. Thanks so much for watching this. Give me your thoughts. Thanks.